This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Welcome to another in the series of webinars by the Cloud Communications Alliance. Want to wish everybody a happy holiday season. I'm already can't wait for the holiday. But I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. And I want to remind you, we've just sent out a save the date on Cloud Connections. That's our big meeting that we're going to be having this year, April 17th to the 19th in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's at a beautiful hotel, the Vinoy Hotel. We'll be sending out more detailed information over the next several days. But block out April 17th to 19th for Cloud Connections. It's going to be fantastic. Want to turn this over to our chairman, Clark Peterson, who's going to host today's call. Clark, take it away. And again, everybody, happy holidays and a happy, healthy new year.
All right, thanks, Joe. We're very excited to bring you this webinar. We have for your enjoyment here an insight and strategic direction here. Elka Popova. Elka is the Vice President and Senior Fellow Connected Research at Frost & Sullivan, as well as the Global Program Director. I've got that right, of Unified Communications, Elka?
Clark, did you really need to read all these titles? It's embarrassing.
And your parents say you're the best daughter ever, so. I'll give you some, I'll kind of set the table for this discussion. It really is going to be interesting because I think the industry in whole is at a unique place, right? We all had this great boost from COVID and everyone had to go to the cloud pretty quick, and a lot of companies really benefited by that. And I remember I think Ring was at like $470 a share, right, during that time or so. There was a lot of great benefits to it, but that came down a lot for a lot of companies. Others stayed pretty good, if not kept growing. But we're now at this kind of new, where's it going from now? And I think you'll find the research from the 2023 report, it's called What Does the Future Hold for Business Communications? I think it'll give you some great insight right from customers of what they're thinking as far as where the investment will be. So I think going forward, you just have to be more strategic. There's going to be some areas you see that are going to be great, other areas maybe not. So knowing that strategic direction is going to be critical. And you'll hear from Elka on areas like UC, mobility, Microsoft, and what everyone's planning to do with or without Microsoft, AI. All kind of the four main key areas there she covers in this report. So I think it's going to be extremely helpful to you. And lastly, before we get started, I'll just tell you we want this to be interactive. And so the way we'll make it interactive is as Elka goes through, I'm going to be kind of the color commentator here and might ask questions or make comments, but we would like to give you the same opportunity. So if you have a question you'd like me to ask for you, just put it in chat and I'll try to represent as many questions as I can get to as she goes through this communication. So Elka, I'll let you take it from here and start to take us through some of the great insight that you released in the report here.
Thank you, Clark, and thank you, Joe, for having me. I love this community. I'm always happy to engage with the Cloud Communications Alliance and the wonderful people that belong to this alliance. I have prepared a deck with a lot of data from a recent survey that we conducted of IT decision makers around the world. And I will provide you with some of the insights and takeaways and interpretations that we have come up with on my team. However, I want to kind of emphasize that the topics that we will be discussing are really broad, really kind of far-reaching, and we should be having deeper conversations to actually get to the conclusions that will benefit each of your organizations specifically, because we're dealing with a very diverse environment out there, and each of the providers and technology developers addressing these diverse environments will need to tailor their strategies to their specific target customers, to their specific customer segments, and certainly based on your kind of unique skill sets and capabilities. So what I'm trying to say is we have a very promising title here, and I believe in the value of the information I'm going to share with you. But what I'm trying to say is we will need to go beyond eventually to give you more value based on these data and my insights. So once again, before we get started, the survey covered about 1,020 IT decision makers around the world, including line of business, IT, C-level, all the way down to director, manager, etc. We had about 5 countries representing all regions except North America, where we had samples from both Canada and the US. And we had representation from 9 verticals. Okay, the details are available if anybody is curious to see them. So without further ado, I will share some key findings on a very high level first. Then I will talk specifically about the trends I'm seeing in enterprise telephony and business call control. So kind of a very calling-centric view of the world and what's happening. I will talk a little bit about mobility and where I see it going. I know it's a very hot topic. I know you're seeing a lot of different announcements out there. I won't talk about the different competitive offerings because this is mostly customer data. But again, we can have another conversation on that topic. I'll talk a little bit about Microsoft, another extremely kind of important topic for all of you. There's again, a lot that can be discussed, and I will probably only scratch the surface, so to be continued. And I'll give you a little bit of insight into what I see happening with AI, but specifically AI in communications and collaboration. And we'll wrap up with a few kind of growth opportunities for 2024 and beyond. Okay. So when we did the survey, we wanted to test a few hypotheses. One of the hypotheses was that because of the pandemic and the shift to remote work, organizations are now looking to discontinue their PBX licenses and PSTN connectivity services for some of their workers, primarily some of the remote knowledge workers, to save money. And because we kind of showed and experienced ourselves that we can conduct business internally and externally using, let's say, just video meetings, and even just consumer services, if you wish, consumer mobile, for example. What we found out was that actually demand for PBX functionality in general, premises-based, cloud-based, is still pretty solid. And many organizations are looking to increase their investments in PBX and PSTN capabilities. But of course, they're adopting a wide variety of other UC functionalities. Obviously, the adoption of video meetings and team spaces, group chat has increased dramatically over the past few years, and adoption kind of promises to continue on a steady trajectory for the next few years as well. So one takeaway is that many of the organizations you're serving will have a lot of silos, multi-vendor technologies that they will be looking to integrate and rationalize and harmonize the user experiences across all of those. So a lot of implications, but the bottom line is opportunities exist in calling as well as meetings and team spaces. Now, Another important kind of topic we wanted to explore was the shift to cloud-based communications. And again, the survey provided abundant evidence that companies are moving some of their calling and other collaboration capabilities to the cloud. However, it was eye-opening for me that the majority are operating hybrid enterprise telephony environments today. And I mean, we asked about end of 25, 26. So that's pretty soon. It's not far out, decades out. But by 2026, hybrid enterprise telephony environments will continue to dominate the market.
Hey, Elka, I think it was interesting as they'll see kind of the size of the customers information that you have there. I think people start to see, it's going more up market, and as you go up more up market, those larger enterprises have multiple offices, and so naturally, hybrid starts to become really important, right? Because they don't switch all their offices all over on the same day, and they start to kind of give the cloud providers a chance to do one office, then two, then three. So yeah, hybrid becomes a migration strategy for a lot of these larger companies.
Absolutely, and I think some of it is not just temporary, kind of during the migration phase. I think a lot of these organizations will continue to operate hybrid environments for multiple reasons. And it has to do with cost, but also control and governance and compliance and so on.
And SLA, Teams'
Yes,
SLA is still pretty weak, and that's what we're being told by our customers. That's the main reason.
agreed. Mobility. Again, the jury's still out about how mobile exactly we will be in the distant future. With regard to kind of what's my forecast horizon and the survey horizon here the next 3 to 4 years, I think we will have pockets of a more rapid shift to mobility in certain countries, in certain types of verticals, among certain types of workforce demographics. But in many parts of the world, it will not be a mobile first, kind of business communications world. It will be very much a mixed wireline and mobile telephony kind of environments. And in many of these, different markets, we will see both mobile clients, soft client type of mobility, as well as native mobile dialers. I can use any help, as much help as I can get from you in formulating the right type of questions for my next survey, because I want to get deeper into that issue of client-based versus native mobility, because it's hard to figure out where organizations are headed. Microsoft Teams Phone. We already know that Microsoft is gaining a lot of traction, and Teams Phone has captured a large share of the UCaaS space. The data show that it will remain a pretty kind of pervasive in the future. One of the most interesting findings is that even Teams Phone will be adopted in many hybrid environments and multi-vendor environments, meaning that many organizations will adopt it, but it won't be the only solution. There will be maybe other cloud PBXs and maybe even some premises-based systems within the same organizations, which again has implications with regard to integration, with regard to kind of harmonizing calling plans, user experiences, and so on. Operator connected Teams Phone Mobile will become more common in terms of how PSTN connectivity is provided to Teams Phone in Teams Phone deployments. But obviously, direct routing will remain the option of choice for the majority for organizations with more complex requirements. AI is certainly the most transformative technology in business communications and probably in general in the technology space. The biggest question I think the industry needs to answer is how AI innovation will be monetized. And we're seeing already significant differences among the technology developers and the service providers about how they're approaching AI. And some companies like Microsoft are being, kind of bolder in their efforts to price their AI-powered functionality accordingly and generate revenues from it. And the majority of the rest of the providers are looking to just kind of use it as a differentiating capability, increase customer value, and boost customer acquisition and retention. So with this, let's look at the data that support the takeaways that I just shared with you. As I mentioned, we just wanted to find out if organizations still plan to invest in PBX functionality in general, premises-based or cloud, doesn't matter. But if they still care about, extension dialing, if they still want call forwarding, call park, any of the features that we associate with the cloud PBX, and if they still require, PSTN connectivity for external calling. So we asked this question for the 3 workforce demographics that we kind of thought were distinct: remote desk workers, in-office desk workers, and frontline and field workers. And the data were pretty consistent across the 3 workforce demographics. Few organizations are looking to decrease their investments. The vast majority are either sustaining their current investments in PBX licenses or increasing. Here's the in-office desk worker data and the frontline workforce data. So as you can see, it's good news for the majority of the CCA members, because I know each organization, especially the service providers that are in this audience, still lead with that PBX replacement value proposition, and despite the fact that many of the portfolios today include either the video conferencing or group chat capabilities, or you're integrating with those capabilities, it's important to know that the core foundational cloud PBX functionality is still valued by customer organizations. Now, this is the probably one of the most revealing data sets from my survey, and I have shared it at some with some of you, maybe privately, or you have kind of seen it in some of the studies we have published. But I think it's very kind of eye-opening, because we sometimes get a little bit carried away, and we think that this world is on a much faster path to adopting cloud-based communications. It's undeniable that this shift is happening. As you can see here, entirely cloud-based telephony environments will increase from 4 to 11% of the surveyed organizations from 23 to 26. Predominantly cloud-based environments also will increase from 13 to 16%. But when you look at entirely premises-based and predominantly premises-based environments, the decrease is not as dramatic as you might expect. And the most important thing, starting with predominantly premises-based through a couple of variations of what we called hybrid with equal proportions of cloud and prem, and then predominantly cloud, all these 4 options here are actually hybrid. Even in predominantly this or that environments, you have an element of the other type of solutions. So today and in 26, all these variations on the hybrid theme will be dominant. Again, the implications are broad and varied, but there will be requirements to integrate premises-based and cloud solutions with dialing plans, and also it means there is a potential here for SIP trunking services, not just the cloud PBX solutions that the industry is pitching to customers, and many other implications about professional and managed services to kind of manage the complexity of hybrid in general.
Elka, question.
Absolutely.
Is there a skew in North America or Europe?
There it is.
There is?
Here's
There
the
is.
regional
Yeah.
segmentation. Some of the findings are very surprising. I mean, you have to understand that, the samples get smaller when you start looking at things on a regional basis. But the distribution is not dramatically different by region. Latin America kind of looking so positive on the cloud side, to me is a little misleading. I work closely with my colleagues who cover the Latin American hosted IP telephony space, UCaaS space. It's a very kind of incumbent centric market, and there's growth taking place. However, due to regulatory reasons, there isn't enough competition to kind of see that dramatic shift. I'm kind of hoping to eventually understand where this kind of optimistic customer perspective comes from. It may be more perception based than reality based, but obviously there were more decision makers there, planning to have entirely cloud-based environments in 26.
Hey, Elka, I think just to comment on this, the part that I think this is really interesting, the part I almost expected, and I do see it here, is that, the hybrid, I would suspect is greater with the larger companies, being that, as we know, and Sanjay knows from Vonage Business and building that along with 8x8 and RingCentral. I mean, we all focused on the lowest hanging fruit, which was the smaller customers, right? Because PBX replacement is difficult, right? It's a lot easier to do POTS replacement or key system replacement. So that's where all the penetration was up front. And now it's really hard to think of those that are doing a great job with PBX replacement in any kind of mass. And so there's, you suspect there's a lot still to go on a long runway with those larger customers that still have to do PBX replacement, and where hybrid would be the most attractive for it. Right?
Yeah, so anecdotally, what I'm seeing in the market is definitely, a lot more hybrid and a lot more, kind of premises-based environments in larger organizations. for understandable reasons. They have been, the strongholds of premises-based telephony because of existing integrations. Many years ago, they were not yet trusting the brands that were selling cloud PBX solutions, and in general, they move more slowly. They just have more bureaucratic decision making and so on. It is again a little surprising that look at these small businesses, up to 99 employees. I mean, they have the largest actually proportion of organizations that expect to have entirely premises-based and predominantly premises-based environments in 26. I'm thinking there's a bit of a risk-averse kind of attitude there, and they're just milking existing investments, sweating their assets, as we say, some low-end key systems or whatever it is they have in their environments.
Yeah, that data really does look odd because the most of the growth is down market right now. So it's odd to see someone saying 22% will remain premises in that down market sector. That's not what we're seeing. So
Yeah,
that is odd.
it is. It is.
When Sanjay releases his survey, we'll cover that as well.
There is a cost and a hassle in migrating. And when you look at the world, there are a lot of low-end key systems, even TDM systems, still deployed in many organizations and many smaller businesses. I mean, there wouldn't be in the probably 20 employee range, but closer to the 100 employee range, are probably just, like I said, not moving because the existing investments are still doing the job. And they're just not, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I thought someone was trying to say something, but we can have more conversations about this, but the data are what the data are, so my interpretation only goes so far. Okay, as I mentioned, talking about cloud PBXs and PBXs in general is fun, but we want to look at the richer kind of UC set of capabilities and see what's happening there. We did ask the surveyed organizations about which of many different services and devices they have adopted today. And on the next slide, I'll show you what they were planning to adopt throughout 23 and in 24 and 25. It's no surprise that the vast majority of organizations already have video conferencing and group chat in somewhere in their environments. Many are using company-provided mobile phones. Surprisingly, many have some room-based video conferencing devices. And, take your pick here, depending on your interest in a certain technology that could be headsets or IP phones or, is analog fax here? No, it's in a different data set. But fax, of course, online fax at least. You can see where organizations stand in terms of current adoption and future adoption. So like I said, the customers are adopting a lot of different technologies and creating a lot of technology silos. In most cases, these are multi-vendor solutions, and sometimes they talk to each other and sometimes they don't. And there's a lot of need for trusted partners to come in and help organizations rationalize these environments. Of course, I still highlighted the cloud PBX adoption rate because I Well, it's an important area for me, and I think for many of you. Well, 34% of organizations have cloud PBXs somewhere in their communications environments today. Going forward, 52% more will add cloud PBXs to their environments by the end of 25. Combined with 34, that's a solid 86. Sorry, guys, someone is desperate to find me, but I can't talk to them now.
You were talking about mobility, so that was good sound effects there.
I know, yeah, it's unfortunate that, someone will be looking for me right now, but saying that looking at these data, 86% of organizations will have adopted cloud PBXs. When Clark and I were talking prior to this, if we didn't have this data set, we would be looking at an extremely optimistic view of the market. Hey, 86% of organizations will have moved to cloud. Job done, we're out of business pretty much. We just have to go do something else, AI or pizza, whatever. The thing is, when you look at this, it's obvious that all these cloud PBXs will be part of hybrid environments more so than entirely cloud-based solutions within customer organizations. That's a similar view with all the other technologies. Even if we're saying that video conferencing in 65% of organizations today and will be in 28% more of the organizations, that doesn't mean that every single employee has video conferencing today. There are opportunities for video and for group chat in underpenetrated workforce demographics within customer organizations. Many frontline workers don't have access to many of these capabilities, and in my opinion, would benefit strongly from having some of these to collaborate with other frontliners or to collaborate more effectively with the rest of the organization. And certainly, many don't have DIDs today, but could benefit from having access to external communications. Okay, so mobility. As I pointed out, I'm not only relying on this survey. We talk to vendors, we talk to customers separately from this. I follow the trends. I was trying to answer the question about what kind of mobility will win in customer organizations. Will it be app-based mobility or core native, mobile PBX kind of solutions? When you look at these data, it's obvious that many organizations have already adopted mobile business calling apps. These could be soft phones, or they could be calling extensions of collaboration-centric solutions such as Teams, for example. But 43 have it. Quite a few more will be adopting mobile business calling apps in the next few years. So, okay, apps will get pretty kind of widespread adoption. The ones that have already adopted mobile business calling apps will either maintain investments or increase their investments, meaning they will provide these to more users within their organization. We're seeing a lot of this happening in, let's say, Europe. In North America, the majority of providers have been including their desktop and mobile clients will be with their kind of seat licenses for many years, and we have much greater penetration. in Europe, we have kind of extremes. We have obviously, the mobile-centric solutions in the Nordics and some of, kind of Vodafone's one-net solutions that are kind of, mobile by default. And then a lot of plain vanilla cloud PBXs, where, we have room for cross-selling and upselling with mobile business calling apps. I just wanted to kind of explore how many organizations are actually providing mobile business voice and data plans to their workforces. So, I mean, for 20 years, over the 20 years I've been an analyst, we've been saying, oh, employees are becoming increasingly mobile. Oh, organizations are moving to mobile communications. 48% have adopted mobile voice and data, business mobile voice and data services plans for their employees. Okay, the others are planning to adopt those. And now we know for sure, based on the other questions that we've been asking, that doesn't mean that all the employees will have these capabilities. Even within these 48% of organizations, maybe only a handful of employees are getting company-sponsored mobile plans. Well, that has implications about, the new native mobile solutions that are being launched. I mean, there's a correlation between what the organization has been sponsoring to date, what the organization sees as valuable for their employees, and how these new solutions are going to resonate with these organizations.
I think, Elka, it's interesting. I mean, there's so many mobile solutions that can be under that umbrella, right? So these percentages, someone might be thinking I'm mobile because I have the Zoom app on my phone and I do my video conferences on my phone, but they're still not using any UC because it's not a native dialer yet, which is kind of clunky, so they're not using that. So not only is there the opportunity for mobility in general, but mobility per solution, right? That could
lots of variations, and that's why we try to ask the questions in like 5 different ways. So let me ask you about mobile business calling apps. Now let me ask you about business plans. Like, is the company giving you their, mobile services, or are you using your own personal plan? I can tell you, I'm using my own device and my own plan. It's just not a company strategy for my company to sponsor our mobile devices and mobile services. Many organizations don't. So even if you give me the best, Teams Phone Mobile or WebEx Go or whatever, well, look at the starting point, and of course, the better the solutions become, the more incentive for organizations to adopt mobility. I'm just kind of saying, I'm trying to be a little more skeptical and rational in discussing these, in looking at these trends. Similarly, for the ones that already have these, mobile voice and data services, okay, more than half will be increasing these investments. That's good news. Well, if you are in the business of offering mobility. Another way we asked about this is, well, how important are soft phones to you? Meaning desktop and mobile, just in general soft phones, looking at them as a mobile solution. Oh, well, a little over 1/3 must have these. Another 45 would like. Again, that means that some of us may be overestimating the importance of mobility through, software-based access to communications. Some of us may have been realistic all along. Here's a question about native mobile dialers. I mean, it's so hard to even explain to customers, what you're asking them about. What if they don't know about Teams Phone Mobile or WebEx Go, or they're not in the Nordics and they don't know what TDC has done or Telia has done, or they're, I don't know, in Germany and you're asking them if they want a native mobile dialer with a business phone number. I don't even know how to describe this. I want you to help me with formulating this question for next year's survey. Because again, we're getting like, okay, well, over a third say, yeah, I want it, I must have it, and the others are like, maybe, why not? It's an interesting space to explore, and we need to find the best ways to understand the actual real potential for these solutions going forward. Okay, Microsoft. Well, when we asked the organizations that currently have adopted a cloud PBX, whether Microsoft Teams Phone is one of their options, globally, 78% said that they have adopted Microsoft Teams Phone. So once again, that's not of the total 1,000 organizations. It's only of a smaller sample of organizations that have adopted cloud PBXs today. Wow, that sounds like a lot. In 25, 73% will have Teams Phone Mobile. Again, pretty impressive. It's a different sample now, the sample of everybody who will have a cloud PBX by then. But here is a sobering fact. We kind of combined here some of the categories. In predominantly premises-based environments or predominantly cloud and then hybrid environments, looking at the total cloud PBX base and the ones that will have Microsoft Teams Phone somewhere, the distribution is not too different, meaning that Teams Phone is not going to have to be adopted in organizations of a vastly different profile. It will be in some organizations with predominantly premises-based environments. It will be in organizations with predominantly cloud-based environments. It is today, sorry, and it will be in the future. So it will have large presence, but it will coexist with other technologies and solutions very much like other cloud PBXs will coexist.
And Elka, how much of that consistency of those numbers being similar do you think would be attributed to, a lot of people use both, right? They might have Microsoft for O365 and then they have direct routing from, like Call Tower has done an awesome job with, integration of Microsoft, William Rubio's on. And, there's companies like that who really have kind of led the way on how to integrate with Microsoft, right? And offer some cloud services that augment the existing Microsoft services.
The question we asked was meant to specifically ask about call control options within the organization, not necessarily about, well, I get the cloud application from Microsoft, but the PSTN connectivity from another provider. That's on the next slide. This one is really, okay, if you're using Teams Phone as your PBX, is that going to be your one and only solution? And what we find out is no, maybe it will be sitting next to Vonage, maybe it will be sitting next to Avaya, maybe it will be sitting next to something else in terms of call control solutions. So hybrid from that point of view. And here's your view of connectivity, PSTN connectivity in Teams Phone environments. In 21, when we asked the question, there was very little operator connected. It was just launched. There was no Teams Phone Mobile. Microsoft calling plans at the time were the preferred method. That's a little arbitrary, but we asked it this way just to avoid having to ask, what is your current method, your future method, but do you like them, do you not? We just asked about preferred method. And this was, direct routing using a third-party cloud PBX. Basically, when you have the full featured seat used for direct routing purposes, this is, SBC as a service, and this is self-managed SBCs, thread-based SBCs. The picture changed in 23 in terms of preferences. Again, I mean, we understand that our respondents are sometimes their perceptions may be unrealistic or impacted by something. Teams Phone Mobile all of a sudden is way too popular for something that has been, barely launched. But apparently there is something to the sound of mobile that resonates with decision makers. Operator Connect is already much, much more popular. And then the direct routing options are still dominant, but when combined. And Microsoft calling plans are losing in market share. Again, lots of different implications of this, but again, this is what customers seem to be telling us about the future. AI. I will be asking more communications and collaboration related questions, specifically with regard to AI in my Unified Communications survey. These are some questions that my colleagues ask, and they kind of look at AI as AI, if that makes any sense, like AI in general. They were curious to know what stage of adopting AI organizations are at. So the largest proportion tell us that they have implemented at least one AI capability for one business function or one use case. 21% are only at the proof of concept or prototyping. Another 21% are just watching and learning. And the 20% here are the ones that are ahead of the others and have adopted AI across multiple functions. Why are they investing in AI? The majority seem to be looking at AI as a way to improve operational efficiencies. They were given options, of course, to pick more than one here of the investment drivers. Some are interested in boosting innovation or achieving other goals. However, currently, the predominant perception is that AI can help them save money and function more efficiently. It's very interesting to look at which providers can influence choices of AI technology or platform. And, well, telecom service providers are at the bottom, but still 39% are looking at service providers to offer them, AI capabilities, AI-powered functionality for their purposes. A lot more to be explored with regard to AI, but I'm going to move on in the interest of time and encourage you to reach out if you have additional questions about any of the findings in this survey.
Elka, one question that just came through on chat was just what's the average size of the organizations in the survey? I know you kind of hit all the different groups there. Was there an average size that you think you hit?
I think we aimed for relatively equal proportions of small, medium-sized, and large, about 30% each. But again, I can share the profile separately.
Yeah, okay.
We excluded organizations under 10 employees. Micro businesses are a very, very different animal. And I know a lot of cloud communications providers actually target this customer segment, but for the purposes of this survey, we excluded micro businesses. Okay, so you know how we all like to do predictions, and we never kind of seem to settle on whether we call it predictions or growth opportunities or just trends. What will define our business communication space in 2024? I believe one of the key trends will be certainly AI-powered innovation, and as a whole, the industry will focus on identifying the key use cases. Where does it make the most sense to leverage AI to achieve certain business goals? And the next stage will be finding the right pricing models to monetize AI, well, beyond, enhance customer value and customer retention and so on. Many organizations continue to struggle to find the right hybrid work models. I know you've heard the term hybrid work more times than you care to remember. We know hybrid work will be the predominant model, but making it work is the hardest part because certain technologies can be appropriate for remote workers, others for the in-office workers. We have to make sure they're all working together to enable excellent user experiences, regardless of where workers are at any given day of the week. And also, more and more organizations will be looking to bring people back into the office to align them around corporate values and corporate objectives. So we may need to shift the focus a little bit to in-office experiences and how to make these more attractive to remote work experiences, rather than the other way around, what we did in the past few years. Business 3.0, in our market analysis, this is about tying technology investments, especially investments in integrated platforms that support internal and external communications, and also, kind of CPaaS as the glue among all kinds of different communications and workloads, to tie these more closely with business outcomes. It's about finally, using technology to drive specific KPI improvements on a higher kind of business level than we did in the past. Vertical use cases and frontliners are becoming a key way for many of the communications providers to differentiate and to look at untapped kind of addressable opportunities. Knowledge workers have been saturated with communications and collaboration capabilities, but what about frontline workers? Many have to make do with the tool sets that were either provided to have been developed for knowledge workers, or many are still bringing their own devices to use for business purposes. There are opportunities there to differentiate and do interesting things that haven't been in the past.
Yeah, I can attest to that, Elka. We are starting to see finally many years of vertical starting to happen, especially when we do UC and CC together.
Yeah, yes. Nobody will be able to straddle all the different verticals. It may be important to prioritize the ones where a certain technology developer or service provider has the most expertise or existing channel kind of foothold or other capabilities to leverage to get ahead of the competition. MUCAS is a term we jokingly use, mobile unified communications. Um, as I pointed out, there's a lot of innovation happening in mobile unified communications. We'll watch and learn about what kind of architectures and business models will gain traction in different countries, different workforce demographics, verticals, and so on. I don't think there is a single architectural design of mobility or fixed mobile convergence that is equally valuable and resonates equally well with all customers out there. I did already kind of share some high-level takeaways about Microsoft. Yes, Microsoft Teams is in many customer organizations, and it's important to find ways to work alongside these Microsoft Teams environments. I know many telcos are adjusting their business models to provide primarily connectivity services and managed Teams tenancy and so on, and kind of building frameworks around the consulting services and managed services that go that are required in these Teams environments, rather than continuing to compete against Teams with other UCaaS solutions. There are opportunities for different strategies here, and it will be important to do, honest assessments of your capabilities and where you stand in the value chain, to position kind of successfully in view of how Microsoft is disrupting the competitive landscape space. Environmental and sustainability considerations are becoming more front and center than ever before. I'm hearing more and more technology developers sharing anecdotal evidence of customers selecting them because of their environmentally conscious approaches, whether it's their commitment to circular economy and recyclable materials, recyclable overall strategies, or some other commitments to these claims. But as your competitors kind of focus on these issues, customers will become more aware and come back to you expecting the same from you. So it's important to have the right type of messaging to your customers about where you stand on this topic, and of course have some proof points that you're actually executing. We're running out of time, or actually we've run out of time, so I'm not going to talk a lot about this, the last 3 points here. But yes, edge solutions and improving performance as we move to more and more as a service solutions will be front and center for many in business communications. Your customers will also be looking to reconcile skilled labor shortages with the value proposition of the value of automating and robotization. So you need to kind of look at the challenge they're facing and how you can solve this problem for them. And of course, big data and analytics will again have implications for what additional capabilities are provided with business communication solutions to give customers the insights that they can use to not only manage their communication solutions better, but use them to predict business outcomes, or actually influence business outcomes going forward based on analytics. And I know many of you are running to bigger and better things. So I apologize for not leaving much time for questions, but I'm here to answer any if you have a few more minutes to stay with me.
Oh, thank you. It was very helpful. I have to drop.
Thank you.
Elka, sorry, I was muted there. One question that came out in chat, Rick Solomon was asking about AI adoption in Europe versus United States because of GDPR there and the limitations AI might have in Europe there. Are you seeing anything on that?
With my kind of narrower view of the world, coming from a UCAS point of view, I haven't yet explored this in much detail. I will take a look at the AI survey that we conducted and share maybe some. If actually the gentleman who asked if he can reach out to me, I will see what differences we see across regions today.
Great. Yeah. And if anyone doesn't have Elka's information, you can always just email Joe or I, and we'll make sure Elka gets your question there. But Elka, we really appreciate you taking the time. Very insightful at a very critical time for the industry. And so this was really helpful and hit on the top 4 areas really that we should all be thinking about directionally where this is going. So thank you very much.
Yes, Elka, thank you too. And for you folks who are remaining on the call, if you look in the chat, you'll notice that Elka is putting together or wants to work on an end user survey, and she's looking for some collaboration on it. So if anybody wants to work with Elka on an end user survey, again, feel free to grab Elka or contact myself. And thank you all for joining us today. Have a happy holiday and a healthy new year.
Shall I answer
Thank
some
you.
of the questions if the people are still on the call, or would you like to maybe copy and kind of paste these into an email for me and I can address them individually? I can see a question about mobile UCAS in Europe versus APAC versus Americas. And I think there may be a few other questions that have not been addressed. How shall we handle those?
Yeah, we can grab those. Joe, maybe you could have her